Why not? Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to yet another session of IBAI. Friends, what we are witnessing today is a historic move in the history of Indian insurance industry. When successfully implemented, it will change the dynamics of the health insurance landscape in our country. This is also going to give explosion in health insurance and penetration of health insurance in our country. We thank the visionary approach of our chairman IRDA, Mr. Debashish Panda, along with him, the vision of Mr. Tapan Singhel, who is with us today in capacity of Chairman General Insurance Council. Cashless Everywhere is a bold new initiative. This is going to, and this is one of the single largest, I think, boldest reforms in the interest of the policyholder that has taken place in the last 2 decades. This is also going to help further the cause of health insurance penetration and cause of the policyholder in our country. Mr. Tapan Singhel does not need any introduction. The whole insurance industry world over knows him. However, it would be injustice if we don't introduce him today. I would love to introduce you to Mr. Tapan Singhel as the current chairman of General Insurance Council and also a very dynamic, flamboyant and active CEO of Bajaj Allianz General Insurance Company. He's very, very active on social media. So if anyone wants to take lessons on how to maximize your social media presence, I think Mr. Tapan Singhel is the right person to go to get tutorials on that. He has worked hard tirelessly to make Bajaj Allianz scale greater heights and achieve what it is today. And I'm sure many of us know, but I'd like to share this small tidbit with you. The Bajaj Allianz General Insurance Company is the only general insurance company in our country to have ever declared underwriting profits. So welcome, Mr. Tapan Singhel. Thank you for taking time out from a busy schedule to address us today. Along with Mr. Singhel, we have with us Mr. Segar Sampathkumar, who is currently holding the position of Director Health at General Insurance Council. He's been an insurance practitioner for last 4 decades, retiring as General Manager and Director from General Insurance Corporation of India. Then he wore the hat of an academician as Chair Professor, National Insurance Academy. After that, he wore the hat of an insurance ombudsman in Chennai, possibly the man with the right experience and background to take up this massive initiative that the industry called out him to. Not only did he respond enthusiastically, but he has also worked at breakneck speed to put the building blocks together. Let us understand the concept of cashless everywhere from these 2 titans and interact with them with our questions. I'll urge all my fellow members to maintain virtual hygiene, keep yourself on mute. Q&A session will follow after both the speakers speak over here. Without much ado, I hand over to Mr. Tapan Singhel to bowl the first over, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nandal. And to begin with, I'd like to thank IPI for organizing this. And this is where I feel the value that I see in, and I read the tagline, broker hai to bharosa hai. I think how do you put together issues for the customer and how do you be obsessed with the customer in terms of putting things which would be good for it. Because when things are good for customers, it will always be good for the industry in whatever industry we are in. I think that is the basic premise with which we start. So to begin with, namaskar to all of you. All those of you could make it. I already see over 200 people logging in for this conversation which we have. And it is very critical for us because when you launch something which is big, a lot of apprehensions come. I saw some news articles in terms of apprehension which came from some hospital association. And I was a bit surprised. I thought, how do we address and how do we talk to everybody? And that is where I think when I heard from IBA, they want to do this session. I said, yes, let's go and let's take all questions, let's take all apprehensions. Because the obsession is to do good for our country, fellow men, citizens of the country, and make a difference in something as important as health. Today, if you look at the health portfolio for the industry and the focus of the government on it is pretty high. Look at all election manifestos also, you see government talking of health for all. If you look at our Prime Minister's speech, Mr. Modi's speech, he speaks about health in terms of a very focused approach of the government being there. And in that context, when we were looking at what difference can you make collectively as an industry and what are the pain points that we see from a customer perspective, one thing we realized was that each company does empanelment of certain section of hospitals. Let's say they empanel 200, 2,000, 3,000 hospitals. And collectively, if you look at all companies put together, they would have close to 40,000 hospitals. Now, from a customer perspective, why should it be so that if X company has impairment of Y hospital and he goes to a Z hospital and there they say that no, we will not provide you cashless, though the Z hospital may have impairment with 20 other insurance companies which is there. So, from a customer experience perspective, we felt that the least we can do is collectively put in our common impairment for the customer and say that irrespective of which company is empaneled with this hospital, a customer can walk into and give us a notice of to his company 48 hours prior when it's elective surgery. If it's emergency surgery, obviously he walks in and then informs his company, and the endeavor would be to provide cashless within the 48 hours because that hospital already has some impairment with some company or not, and the hospital don't have it. Would encourage that we look into those lists and how do we increase this list. Because currently, as per data statistics we have, there are about 65,000 odd hospitals in the country. 40,000, I think, impairment is already there. And how do we address that? And how do we make it friction-free for the customer? It's a collective effort in which all of us come together to see what's customers' benefit. I don't think this was done with any intention that the industry would be benefiting out of it. I don't think they've done any intention that the hospital should be, kind of squeezed out of it. It's not so. Hospitals already have agreement with the insurance companies. So we are seeing that agreement is. And if they had agreement with some company and they would be thinking of X kind of volume, because now it opens up the entire industry. So obviously the number of patients getting cashless, the brand image for the hospital moves up. So they also benefit from it. From a customer perspective, they benefit because now, irrespective of which company they're insured with, and the company may have, let's say, a limited number of hospitals, suddenly that customer has access to the huge amount of hospital network which is there. And then the council, Mr. Sampathkumar, again, he was introduced, a veteran in this field who has been a part of the industry, been part of the ombudsman. He's seen the other side where he's been handling customer complaints. He's been part of the academia. And we got him and said, Mr. Sampathkumar, your time again has come to serve the industry for a bigger cause. And with these intentions, we set this up and we got it rolling. I think this was our intention. This is what we are looking at. Going forward, we're seeing how do we use the technology, how do we use platform. We are in talks with NHA, and NHA already has a platform. Insurance companies already try to plug in APIs and link to that platform. And how do we see that it leads to a place where it's friction-free for the customer. The customer gets his claim in a friction-free environment where the money gets paid to hospital in real-time basis. There are no backlogs, And how do you make the UPI movement of claim payment in health and take it to that level? The endeavor is that when the customer requires the most, we should be able to provide services at the utmost, I think, friction-free, delight to customer. And this is what the endeavor is. Obviously, in this, we require the support of our distribution friends, brokers understand it, and how do they look at making this process easier. You guys support our hospital friends, how do they come forward and how do they plug into that, and how do we put it on. And that's what we have been requesting support from each and every one of you. And thank you for this platform. I request Mr. Sampathkumar to give some details about this before we take some question answers and try and clear any apprehension which should be there in everybody's mind. Over to you, Mr. Sampathkumar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And thank you, Narendra. Mr. Tapan Singhel has said that all. I mean, it's a revolutionary step under the vision of the chairman of the IRD and the chairman of the council, Mr. Tapan Singhel. And the point is very simple. Today, only 63% of the insured population who have a claim, only 63% use the cashless mode. A big chunk, 37%, don't take cashless at all, go into the rigmarole of reimbursement. Why should this be happening at all? There is no reason why it should be happening. In fact, one of the reasons could be lack of awareness. Second could be that the hospital is not in the panel of the insurer. In fact, these were things that were discussed, deliberated at the regulator level as well as at the industry level, and measures to improve cashless were thought of. And one of the most important things is accessibility and affordability. Under the chairmanship of Mr. Tapan Singhel, the council, not only in health, in every line of business, is trying to improve services, make the journey of insurance, be it underwriting or claims, completely hassle-free. In fact, as you mentioned, technology also plays a very important role. Coming back to cashless everywhere, hitherto, cashless was available only if that hospital was in my insurer's network. If not, no cashless, as simple as that. But after the launch of cashless everywhere, it is literally cashless everywhere. It is not confined to only those hospitals which are in that insurer's network. It is available at any empaneled in any network at all. The insurer has to satisfy themselves that it satisfies the definition of the hospital, like 10 beds in a city with less than a million and more than 15 beds in a city with more than a million population and things like that. Once these are satisfied and once the claim is admissible, of course, the claim has to be admissible. Once the claim is admissible and once the hospital satisfies the definition, a single page MOU has been designed by the council and which can be used by all the insurance companies. That single page MOU has to be signed by the hospital. That's why we need 48 hours time to undertake all this process. And once cashless is approved and once the MOU is signed and given, cashless approval is given, and then, as you know, the insurer undertakes to pay the payment after receiving the document. So for the customer, it's a very hassle-free experience. And more importantly, this is most important, on which Mr. Tapan Singhel also lays a lot of stress on fraud control. As long as you have more and more cashless, the possibility of fraud is lesser and lesser. Why should the industry and the customers ultimately lose money on fraudulent claims? This could be controlled to a large extent by having all transactions cashless. Eventually, when you have more or less a cashless is the default. I mean, customers' aspiration will come to that level, and more hospitals would get empaneled, and more transactions would happen through the cashless route. It would be for the good of everybody. Apart from this initiative, the council is also looking at a number of initiatives on easing the customer journey, especially in health insurance. Possibly during the question and answer sessions also, I would seek inputs from you on what are the initiatives that we as a council should be doing in terms of admission, discharge, and other aspects of health insurance where we could have a better experience for the customers. So with this, I hand it over to Mr. Singhel for further comments.
Thank you, Mr. Sampathkumar. Now, what we shall do is we'll open up for question requests that Mr. Narendra could coordinate on our behalf, take it one by one. Yeah. When you ask a question, if you have any suggestion, please don't hesitate to give to us. As it's evolving, we have to build it together from a customer perspective, do what best we can do. And we shall be, and as his meeting recorded, we shall try and take a minute in terms of whatever suggestions come together and discuss and see what best can we do. So over to you, Mr. Narendra. You can please request people to ask questions and give say.
I will request members, if you have any questions, to raise your hand. As Ms. Sanjeet Rustagi has raised it, we'll give him the first thing. You can also type your question in the comment section over here. We'll take it from there. Point number one. Our session is also live on LinkedIn and YouTube also. So I will request tech support. If anybody on LinkedIn and YouTube is typing any questions, please bring it on board over here for our thing. After this session is over, still, if anybody has got any questions, we will have the email IDs and contact addresses of the GI Council officials. We will consolidate and send it to them, and they will reply to us. Over to Sanjeet Rustagi, please.
Yeah, thank you. And Mr. Tapan Singhel and sir, thanks to you for this initiative. This is definitely very good boon for the insurance industry and for our customers. But I apprehend few challenges, and any initiative we take, there are challenges which settle down with the time. So as on date, before this universal cashless has come, there had been toll claims from most of the insurance companies that their TAT is 1 day, then less than a day, 1.5 day, is whether it is through TPA or it is a direct in-house. But the experience of by and large the customer is that it takes more than 2 days at times, definitely in most of the cases more than a day, for cashless settlement, and even discharge is being extended. I do not know whether it is the process gap between the hospital and the TPA or the in-house TPA, but there is a gap and delay is happens. And I mean, as far as Beacon experience is concerned, and my personal experience is also concerned with the insurance company, private insurance company, uh, discharge, people prefer to go for reimbursement unnecessary because they have to stay for 1 day more. I mean, the confusion maybe the hospital is not giving the requisite documents, but the customer does not know which document has to be given, which document has not to be given, how the response time will come. So query what you want
Thank you, Mr. Rastogi. I think
to all the hospitals.
yes.
Sorry, please.
Yeah, no, we actually missed you. I thought you commented. So thank you, Mr. Rastogi, for your suggestion and question. And I'd like to just request one more thing. Next time, when somebody's speaking, let me also know where are you speaking from, so I know. So I have an idea on that. But let me first answer your question. If you look at this problem statement of claims being settled, and you had this question of the TAT, what I can do is I can request my members in the industry that they can publish the TAT and the percentage of claims getting settled in what time frame. Because broadly what happens is, if I look at it, and this is one issue which I've been highlighting in a lot of places, if I look at the grievance ratios to the number of policies of the industry, and look at the financial world also, if I look at e-commerce and look at all industries, one of the least grievance ratios is of the GI business in the financial world. And these are publicly available data if you look at it. So fundamentally, if I see the data point in terms of grievance ratio, the GI industry has the least in the financial sector. Now, having said that, I think the TAT, when a company is mentioning, most of the cases would be following the TAT. Some would not be following the TAT, and this is where that some is where the friction comes in, and that is where the perception gets created. So we'll do three things. First is, we'll request members company to present the percentage of claims settled in what time. Because we have believed in, and thankfully we are a very, very strong regulator in which we give a lot of disclosures about what we do. I think in terms of disclosures, the GI business, again, if I may say so, has one of the biggest disclosure, whether listed or not listed. And we'll try and see how we put that on, because it should be subject to public scrutiny. And I have always been for transparency. So I take your point there. So that will be one part of it. The second part, if you listen to what I mentioned in my early talk, is we are in talks with NHA, which is the National Health Authority, and they're setting a platform in which already all companies have now logged in and checked their API with the NHA. So broadly, we look at the insurance company already logging into the NHA, which will become in a way a platform for settlement of claims. We're requesting hospitals to come on board, and that is a process which is taking some more time. And as they start coming on board, we'll actually have a situation where the claims are getting paid in real-time basis. And we call it the UPI moment of settlement of claims. And this is an experiment in which the government is involved. We are the blessing of the regulator. Insurance companies have agreed for it. Now the hospital have to come on board. Once that happens, then I think the claim settlement comes on a real-time basis. Now that is the future. Currently, the way I try to address this problem statement when I look at my company is that I request we, the customers or the brokers, that can we start the process a day before the actual when you are having the discharge happening. So like X minus 1. So if we start the process X minus 1, I have seen that mostly at the time of discharge, all the documentation was being asked for, all the approvals is in place, and the customer has a seamless experience of walking out. So since we have all our broker friends here, I think that experience, what we did, is actually helped in a lot of places. So my request is, while we do the exchange, while we do the UPI moment of claim settlement straight through, while we get hospitals on board, we should try and see, as servicing our customers, do we start the process a day before? I think that has, to me, seen that it's been a very similar experience when the discharge happened. But thank you for your question and suggestion. Means a lot. Maybe take the next one, please.
Yeah, just to add to what Mr. Singhel
Thanks a lot.
said, we have to, as policyholder representative, we have to become the brand ambassador of this initiative and take it to the last mile in this country to each every policyholder. I'd like to add over here because this is what is going to enable increased penetration health insurance area. So over to Mr. S.V. Subramaniam. Please introduce yourself, Mr. Subramaniam, before your question.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Subramanian from Pavana Insurance Broking, Coimbatore. I have two questions. There are certain hospitals here who are not in the habit of cashless arrangement itself, since I know. What is the step we have to ensure that they get into the cashless arrangement? That's point number one. Second is that, is there a proposal to rationalize the rates for various processes among the hospitals? Because it varies from hospital to hospital and city to city.
Thank you, Mr. Subramaniam, for your question. Very relevant and very important questions. So I have a counter question which I asked a lot of people, and I have some data points to demonstrate something which will be a big eye opener for all of us here. So when I look at loss ratios and I look at cities and states where the cashless is low, you'll be surprised to see the loss ratio is much higher in cities and places where cashless is low. So it's actually interesting, where you have high reimbursement claims, your loss ratio is much higher, which actually shows that the element in terms of frauds is much higher in places where you don't have cashless. But why would somebody, let's say we all are customers, why would we want to pay money if you have an option of cashless? As a hospital, if you have an option of getting the money and you have a tie-up with companies which allows you to get more customers, because customers will want to provide cashless, why would you want to be out of the network of providing cashless? Now, to me, my mind, I'm not got the answer for this. So I'll be very happy to know if somebody can send me answers as to why would somebody not want to do cashless. That's the reverse thing. And if that be the case, then we should dig deeper to understand why is this happening. That's the first point which I have. Secondly, we can't force people. If somebody doesn't want to be part of the network for whatever reasons, maybe rightfully so, they don't want to be part of it. Then you see there's one hospital which has cashless for all companies now. So the world has changed. It's not about that hospital has been cashless for 2 companies or 3 companies. Now this hospital has cashless for all, insurance companies, and all those are going to come. And there's one which has cashless for none. So as a customer, where would you go? To a hospital, obviously, which is providing cashless for all companies, and that is where the customer starts moving in. So from a hospital point of view, it is a reasonably better business model to have cashless. I think that is so. In earlier times, let's say you had cashless with 2 or 3 companies, not with many, didn't make much of a difference. Now it does. The insurance industry is, like the last data I saw, giving 70,000 crore to hospital in a year in terms of claims. In times to come, and the way the growth is happening, in just about a couple of years, you're talking of a couple of lakh crores being paid by insurance company to hospitals, so which is a substantial amount of money which is going to flow into. Now, to your point of standardization of claim, procedure, and cost, now that is a story of evolution, which will happen when our data is going to come together, and things are going to be put in place. We also see IIB, our data repository, which is again a unit, set up by IIT. How do we use the data? How do we make it much better? And you see, you already have all this question. We are in talks with them. Those data points, along with evidences of what is the cost, what is the reasonable cost, so what should be done, is what has to be done. And you must have also seen, and it was there in the public domain, that a letter from Secretary of Finance asking that there should be hospital regulators being sent. So this is something that as an industry we've been asked that there should be a hospital regulator. So we are working in tandem with lot many issues, and how do you put it together to solve exactly the problem that you mentioned, Mr. Subramaniam. And I think hopefully, if the intents are right and we keep on walking the path and don't give up hope, we should get there one day. But thank you for your question.
Thank you, Mr. Subramaniam. Over to Yashish.
Thank you. Sir, first of all, very strong congratulations on leading this effort and, in such a speedy manner, making sure it has gotten through. And, we have had lots of customers using the cashless everywhere mechanism, and they are very, very happy with it. Sir, two suggestions in addition to the disclosure on claim settle, which is already quite high. So number one, on blacklisted hospitals, if the communication could be stronger from an industry perspective, it would help so that customers don't rush to blacklisted hospitals in the case of an emergency. So the second point is more of just a question and something for the industry to think about. For non-network hospitals, how do we manage to control the claims cost? Are they going to follow some kind of that's just my kind of inquisitiveness. Are they going to follow some kind of a GIPSA pricing mechanism, or because they could have very different prices, sir? That's the only thing. But congratulations, sir. Very, very speedily done. And obviously it cuts out a lot of the fraud that was happening.
Thank you, Yashish. I think you've always been a champion of new initiatives and pushing. I'm very happy to hear your feedback. And towards the end, you actually made the right statement. A lot of frauds you should cut down. See, when you have data, and you know it, Yashish, you have been the one who pioneered data and looking at business, using data. When you have good data and you have a lot of data, you're able to figure out a lot of things. One is fraud. Second would be undue billings. Those things will happen. And that actually, who pays for all this? I think as customers, we are paying for the frauds, because insurance business is a very simple business. As I tell people, it's a question of collection of money from many to pay to a few who have a loss. Now, if the loss moves up, then the collection from many increases. If you're able to control the frauds and that comes down, then obviously the collection of many reduces. It's a very simple business. I think I've not seen a more simpler business in terms of the principles of the business. So frauds is what we as distributors, as the industry, as hospitals should be very aggressively looking into, because that is where the customer has to bear the rise in cost. It is not so much the medical inflation, the rightful medical inflation, if I may say so, but the fraud which is there. I think if we are able to collectively handle that and handle that well, that would be. And that's where a cashless for all. And I give you data points. When you have cities where you have more reimbursement coming to cashless, the loss is higher, which obviously from our understanding of data should be that frauds are much higher in those places. So if we move to cashless for all, it actually brings down frauds, which actually will be good for consumer in terms of the price point also. So it has a direct correlation. It's not about a simple thing. That's just one step. Second is it also brings a lot of data points. And third, like you said, it also brings in hospital which unless they're not aligned in terms of network, in terms of providing service to customer, they're being out of network. I think the communication for that is what should be clearly done on that basis. But at no point in time, we're trying to see it as a negotiating tool with good hospitals serving customers good in just trying to negotiate cost. I don't think we are trying to do that, and that is how much should go. Frauds, we shall be going very strongly against. Hospitals are not complying with the ethics of servicing customers well, or being fair, transparent, being straight, then obviously they're not part of the network. Those are the ones that we're looking into, and how do we, from a customer perspective, give a similar experience we're looking at. So your suggestions are very valuable, Yashish, but I thought we just clarify in terms of what are our first step that you're looking at, how do you put it together, and what are the vision. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yashish. Over to Mehul Bajaj.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Mehul Bajaj from Extra Cover, Kolkata. First of all, thank you for the valuable insights on cashless everywhere for health policies. So I have a couple of questions. First is, will there be any concept of blacklisted hospitals after this concept is introduced for all the companies and all the hospitals? And the other question that I have is that for claims, we have started seeing that hospitals are requesting for advance payments even in cashless claims at network hospitals, because the actual settlement of or the actual payment of the claim happens after a few months or after some days. So how do we tackle this? Because the client ends up paying the amount any which ways as an advance till the claim actually settles.
Thank you, Mehul, for the question. First and foremost, blacklist is a very strong word. I don't think we are policing out here. We are not trying to say we are blacklist. We are saying that there are certain protocols to be followed in terms of servicing customers. There are certain, like you said, we should be able to give the bills on time. We should service it well. The hospitals doing it well are obviously will be the preferred hospitals in terms of their quality in terms of servicing it. Those who are not able to comply with it, obviously they will be not part of the network. We are nobody to blacklist anybody. I don't think we should do so. and they're going to be part of network. So that is what we can do. That we shall be definitely looking into in terms of how do we put that together. In terms of advance being asked to some hospitals, it's good. I would recommend that if you can send those hospitals' name through the insurance company that they're asking for, you try to understand with them what is the issue, why is the delay in settlement. Because from our perspective, we have to pay the money. So the faster you pay the money, the better the experience. That's what I always tell my people, that you pay after one day, you get a bad name. Why don't you pay right now and get a good name? No. All what I've seen is by learning has been that if we start the process a day earlier, that's why I request all my broker friends to do so, of the settlement of the discharge claims and documentation required, it has been a very seamless experience. So maybe you have to just see and set up the protocol. Maybe I'll request IPI that we set up a protocol of how and what are the best practices of getting immediate discharge happening and immediate solutioning happening into the hospital, immediate payment happening. Those protocols, I think good practice sharing should happen. So my lesson or my learning from this discussion that is happening is that the protocol and where we are having very seamless experience in terms of settlement of claims and companies straight through. What are the good learnings there? How do we make it into a protocol and send it to everybody across so we all try to imbibe that in servicing customers? I think that's a good feedback, which I think after the fourth or fifth question comes up very clearly. I request Mr. Narendra also that can we collectively build this together and circulate to all members so that we actually make it very efficient for the customers. But thank you.
That's it. Jigar and Devankar have texted message over here. I think that is already answered, because if hospital is not part of network, then they don't want to be. Probably we cannot help it. Probably we'll encourage all hospitals to be part of the network. We have a question from Anand Jindal. How will investigation cases work?
Yeah, so investigation cases are still left to individual companies currently. But as I said, the data comes in, and that's why when Yashish asked the question, so data actually is very, very interesting, And when I look at frauds, and one of my ambition, first is my personal ambition, which is taken up by my friends also in the industry, is that can we make claims, on real-time basis? Like for hospitals, that's why the NHA is very critical. Like for a fire claim also, I've been telling people that if you have an industry, today all the returns are electronically filed. Gone are days of Bhai Khata. When I started 32 years back in the insurance world, and I was the claims head at one point in time, my claim settlement I would require to look at ledgers, books, and they would not be there. They would say, "Sab aag mein jal gaya." It's all gone burned in fire. They had to be reconstructed, then rebuilt. They take time. Today's time, digital submissions, all data is available. So I'm actually challenging the industry as to why can't we pay on-account payment within 24 hours? No, you already have digital payment. No, what are you looking for? The loss is happening before you on-account. So the obsession is how do we try and bring it as fast as possible. I think that is what we would. And for that, elimination of fraud is very, very critical. The point that you asked, right? Individual companies are doing it, but as data starts coming together, and IIP is already doing a lot of work in this and sending companies data in terms of where they see frauds happening. Right now for motor, I think they're doing a pretty good job. Because same widow appearing in 10 TP cases, same driver appearing in 20 TP cases. Now those from data is coming, Mr. Nanda, it's already coming. So that is becoming very, very easily accessible. So as data starts getting collected, one, collectively, the fraud triggers will trigger. But currently, individual companies are also handling it well, because I think that is what the idea is. But as it evolves, I think that will become a very important constituent of what we see as a byproduct of the initiative that we have taken.
We have another question from Shri. Okay, we have a hospital also who has joined this discussion. Crystal Hospital, they raised their hand. Please go ahead, ask a question.
You are free now. Can you talk to one?
Can you mute Mr. Harish Babu, please? Crystal Hospital, ask a question. Okay, there's no response. We have a question from Sriram over here in the text thing. In a hospital's perspective, can they voluntarily approach insurers for signing the MOU single page, irrespective of whether a case is reported or not?
I welcome such hospitals. Please, I think I'm very happy if they do so. We should do it. Approach a company, voluntarily do that. Because any company ties up, it becomes a part of the big pool, immediately. So it can't be better days for hospital. Earlier they had to go to all individual companies, ask for empanelment. Today they have to empanel with one, and they actually get empaneled all companies. So it's such an amazing time from a hospital perspective. So we welcome this, Sriram.
Shri Kumar, over to you.
Yeah, hi. I have two questions. One is, currently we have the preferred partner network where package.
We can hear you, Shriram. Your voice is cracking.
Your voice is not clear.
Can you hear me now?
This is better.
I just have two questions. One is, how does a preferred partner network situation work in a cashless everywhere, where currently hospitals have certain package rates negotiated with insurers or TPAs, especially for package treatments? Question one. Question two is that in a case where a policy has lots of conditions, like, for example, co-pay or certain illnesses being capped, how will this cashless everywhere work?
Okay. Thank you, Shriram, for this question. Now, two things. In terms of package treatment, a hospital may have signed up with an insurance company based on certain volume of business. Now, my question is that when that tie-up opens up to all companies, the volume of business obviously becomes much bigger, no? So, in fact, the rate at which they've tied up with whichever company becomes more viable the moment it opens up. So, I don't see that as a risk. I see it as more business, for the same agreement that you already have in place. Nowhere in Cashless for All did you hear any announcement that the council is going to go and negotiate with hospitals, rework rates. No, you already have a tie-up with a preferred rate for an insurer based on volume. Now that was with one insurer. One insurer may have whatever, XYZ, the biggest insurer would have what market share? 10%, 15% market share. Now suddenly the 100% market share opens up for that hospital. So actually it's an amazing deal in which for that agreed rate, for a limited amount of business, the business opens up. So if from 100%, I am thinking, I would actually say it's an amazing deal for me. Suddenly for the same preferred thing, I get more volume. So I would not hesitate if I'm hospital to go ahead and say, well, this opens up everybody, this is my rate, where's the MOU, let me sign that one page and let's go ahead. It actually makes much more better business sense than what is currently. That's the first answer. The second, in Cashless Everywhere, if you have a co-pay or if you have a cap, that amount is a liability of the insurance company. Up to that amount is cashless. So that money should be agreed by an insurance company. Actually, in the document says that this is the amount we shall pay as cashless. This is our cap, and this is that they clearly, when they give that authorization letter to hospital, it clearly mentions that. So that still continues. Cashless means for the liability of the insurance company, that is cashless that the insurance company shall be providing. But thank you, Shriram, for your question. Next, please.
Smita has a question here. In situation where the hospital does not have tech support and separate insurance department available in the hospital, how does Cashless Everywhere will work over there?
But Smita, the question right now is that currently do they have cashless or not? Yeah. If they don't have it, then they have to set up a unit to have that and get themselves empaneled. I would strongly urge the hospitals to set up a unit and empanel themselves. Because if the future, the way it's moving, and it's a very simple, even if I ask a layman, if this is the way the industry is moving, and this is the way, if the governments are moving in terms of providing health for all, if this is the way things are moving, you're having a department to help you do that will actually be very, very critical. So I would request that you have it. If you have a cashless, then the way you're operating for that opens up for everybody else. So that is the answer.
Another question is, how will GIPSA rates work over here in Cashless Everywhere?
So again, we're not trying to do anything on rates. I've been very clear that. So if you have a GIPSA rate agreement, that works there. As a hospital, if you open it up to everybody else, when you get more volume at that rate, please do so. It's a free market. See, in a free market, let's say when you go to buy something in the market, people for the same thing have different rates and different producers. And depending on who is able to give a better deal, the volume goes and moves up there. We have seen that. So in a free market practice, I don't think we should be bogged down by what rate. I think from a hospital perspective, they should look at how they can garner more business. It's an opportunity for them. It just opens up the entire industry to them.
Great. Sir, I just wanted to add now to this. Quite a few years ago, the Ministry of Health came out with the NABH accreditation for all hospitals and diagnostic laboratories. Depending upon the scale, size they give an accreditation to it. So now with Cashless Everywhere coming into play, can GI Council develop a depending on the category of city, A, B, C, uniform pricing for hospitals?
So what I again want to reiterate, Mr. Nandan, see, I don't want that as a council we get into the business of deciding what we should pay to hospitals. See, good hospitals, good procedures, they know what is the cost, they know what it is, and if they, let's say, they overprice themselves and they're out of this thing, that it is their problem. They start losing business. See, earlier what used to happen is the insurance contribution to the hospital billing was very small.
True.
You could afford not to care for an insurance provider or not to care for a cashless network. Today, see, we are already giving 70,000 crores. In a couple of years, reach a couple of lakh crores. So the insurance contribution to hospital billing is increasing substantially over time. In 5 to 10 years' time, it will become about 80-90% of hospitals billing would be through insurance contribution or through government trust or whatever it be. So the mechanism for hospitals will be to make fair, transparent, not only pricing, servicing, put in tech support, link up to platforms, provide easy access. This is the future. It will happen on its own because of the way this is happening. So I think we should all think about how do we make, from a customer perspective, much better processes. What are sessions? What are the things that we should be done? And we should not be bogged down by these things. But these will on its own get regulated. If the fraud is happening, take it from me. Data is such an important thing. Look at what the government is doing today. All the income tax that you see, everything is happening. They get all the data.
Correct.
It's so easy for them now to figure out who will not pay the taxes. It's so easy for them to figure out. So data is so important that we should not think that if there's something that we're doing, something can be hidden tomorrow. No, data will throw it up. So with the way things are moving, and actually, if I'm running a hospital I would actually make it very much aligned in terms of transparency and whatever is the fair right pricing to the customer, I'd put that up, be aligned to putting this together, be forward looking in terms of how do we collaborate to make it more successful. But this is the future. This is going to happen.
Many other questions are all more like the process and procedure related. So I think consolidate them and come back to GI Council and probably answer them. I'll just take you over here.
Process questions, procedural questions, what I suggest, Narendra, you can consolidate them and send it. We would send a reply, right?
Yeah.
One more request I have, since we are going to run short time and take a couple of more questions. So I thought it would make a request to IBA also and to you also. And because we have a lot of faith and a lot of, I should say, help required. See together what, like with our processes in the current while, or hospital empowerment. Now you have a full network. How do you put it together? Or even looking at what is the best procedure? How can we see a customer having a delight? What experience do they have? I request IPA to coordinate with the council, and let's together take this path in which, let's say, after 5-6 months, we all say that the customer is super delighted and all the friction that we had is being eliminated and we're moving the right path. So can we collectively do that together is my request, and can we put in all the session processes, think of solutioning and how to look at it and how to take it forward. This is my humble request. A couple of more questions and then I'll leave to you to.
Certainly, sir. We are in sync with you on this initiative and we are more than eager to work closely with GI Council. There's one question over here stating that if the hospital is already declined list, I would not say blacklist, in the declined list of the insurance company, and the patient is admitted over there in an accident emergency situation, so will Cashless Everywhere work over there?
So if it's a decline, it does not work, but we are setting up also in the council a small team where hospitals represent. See, as I said, we have to give a fair chance to everybody.
Absolutely.
So we and Mr. Sampathkumar is setting that up. We are setting up a small team there, a kind of committee, in which any hospital, if they feel that they have disempowerment, what reason they have the right to represent and be heard by this team, and a decision will be taken on that basis. So I would recommend that look into that aspect and try and see that we can get empowerment again.
Yeah. So certain questions, I think we will consolidate everything and come back to the council and all. So
thank you.
I would request our Secretary General, Mr. Balasundaram, to please present a vote of thanks over here. Bala sir. Okay, I think Bala sir, some technical issue there. On behalf of IBI, I'll take this opportunity to present a vote of thanks to Shri Tapan Singhel and Shri Segar Sampathkumar to take time out and interact with us. This is really, according to me, a visionary step, cashless everywhere. It is going to really enhance policyholder experience, whereas health insurance is concerned. And it also gives an opportunity for us to increase insurance penetration in health insurance, take it to the last mile, to even the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities and rural part of the country. So this is a fantastic initiative. We are more than eager to join hands with General Insurance Council and do our best in the larger interest of the policyholder. With this, thank you very much, everyone, for joining for this session. And thank you, Mr. Singhel and Sampath Kumar, for taking time out for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you, Mr. Anand. Thank you, everybody who asked a question over here. Thank you very much.
Anand, please consolidate all the questions.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, just consolidate all the questions and save it so that we can write to the GI Council and then take it forward from there.